the big yawn to start it off. And now we'll honor Ric Flair. Woo! Hey everybody, welcome to the Tuesday morning edition of the Off Base Podcast. The podcast that is carefully crafted to remind you to suck on a fat one if you think that you are the only one, because you're not. I am your host. I am the Rocky Mountain no-name Jackass, and it's 55 degrees here in the city of Aurora at 7:54 in the a.m. on Tuesday, April 27th, 2022. Shaw time. My wife's least favorite part of the podcast. I can't blame her. Ceremonial. Oh, my arm looked pretty good there. Look at that. Woo! Tricep action. All right, I think we're ready. You guys ready? I'm ready. Let's roll. I got the decaf coffee going, man. I'm cutting down on the amount of caffeine I'm taking in the morning. I think I talked about this a couple days ago, maybe last week. I'm going to try to drink decaf 2 out of my 4 cups that I typically drink in the morning. I got good sleep last night, 7.5 hours. But I'll tell you this much, and it was uninterrupted, so I was really happy with that. But I'll tell you this much. If my alarm did not go off at 5, I bet you I would have gone like 9. It would have been nice. Nice. Right? Anyway, feeling pretty good though. Stepson and I have to hit the gym tonight for the push routine. Normally we do it on Thursdays, but we're doing it on Wednesday. Did I say it was Tuesday or Wednesday? It's Wednesday, April 27th, 2022. We're doing it on Wednesday because he's got a band concert tomorrow night, which I'm always excited to go to because he's a good musician, man. I think he has perfect pitch, which is rare. So, I got something on my mind here, and I'm trying to figure it out. Last night, after I brought the kids home, it was Taco Tuesday, so I made bean and cheese tacos for my son and stepson. Excuse me. My stepson likes it with rice in it as well. And had them eat, pretty much when we had gotten home. My stepdaughter wasn't hungry. She didn't want anything. So I was like, okay, I won't make anything. And typically on Taco Tuesdays, I make a cauliflower pizza for my wife and I that has some Mexican flavors added to it. But she typically works late, so I'm thinking, all right, I'll feed the kids, I'll make the crust for the cauliflower pizza, and I'll take my little guy out to hit some balls, and then when I come back, my wife and I can eat together. And that particular plan worked out very nicely, because she came home at the little guy and I, we got back at around 7:05, 7:10, and I just started topping the pizza. Put the sauce on with some cheese, red onions, tomatoes, and a grilled flank steak. Oh, yeah. It was delicious. My wife came home shortly after that. Her timing was just about perfect. And she and I sat down in the dining room together with a glass of wine, and we're talking about some things. And it was a wonderful conversation. I felt like we were connecting beautifully. She was talking about an issue that she was having at work with one of her employees, and it was a situation where the person had some biases that were brought on either by his family or by society or by both. And my wife was coaching him on those to try to eliminate them, because as he continues to move up through the ranks, you can't have them. And I was very impressed with her, and I told her so. And also told her that what she was doing reminded me of Bill Burr and his wife Nia, because there have been a couple times on Bill's podcast where he and Nia get into like really heated discussions, particularly with regards to the hot button issues going on in the day, whether it's genderism, gender identity stuff, or men and women stuff, or race. To make a long story short, when Bill and his wife have had discussions like this, she tends to be rather reactionary. So, and I'll give you a little bit more information. It's usually with regards to, I'll say 99% of the time, it's with regards to Bill's listeners writing in asking for advice. And, he's a guy's guy. So when guys write into him, they want the guy's opinion. They want the guy's advice. And when guys ask for guys' advice, they talk like guys. There's really no other way that I can say that. There's a way that we as men have of communicating that women don't. They don't communicate like we do. They communicate very differently. And that's the challenge of making a relationship work, is learning how to communicate most effectively with your partner. So when guys write into Bill and they talk like guys, of course, his wife gets reactionary because she doesn't understand the way in which the guy is trying to communicate to Bill. So she'll often go off on him, call him an asshole. Not Bill, the guy who writes in the letters. They're like, this guy's a fucking jerk. He doesn't know what the fucking, and then it's just coming at the person by telling them how stupid they are. And then if you actually are there to help them, they're never going to hear your message, because all they heard initially was, oh, you're a jerk, you're an asshole, you're dumb, you don't know what you're talking about. Well, how the hell are you going to help somebody if that's all you're saying to them? And one issue in particular that Bill and his wife had a really, really nice discussion on, it was rather long, was with regard to people who get fired or get in trouble for race stuff. Now, Bill's wife is black. No, I don't know if it was race. It might have been gender or something like that. I forget what it was. But bottom line is, it was a hot button issue. And his wife was coming at the emailer as, you deserve what you got, blah, blah, blah. And Bill was saying, well, wait a minute, hold on a second. Yeah, he did something that in our eyes isn't kosher. But does the guy really deserve to get fired for it? I mean, how are you going to help the guy? If you fire him, all you're doing is you're teaching him what to say so as to continue to be able to earn himself a living, which he should be able to do anyway. But you're not really changing what's in his heart. You're not really changing what's in his mind. If you come at him with just, you suck, you're fired, blah, 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 that doesn't help the person at all to get them to the point that you know where they ought to be. And he said, and so his wife was like, well, what should I do instead? And Bill's suggestion was, well, just talk to the guy. Get him to open up about different predispositions that he may have towards a group of people, a race of people, a gender of people. You have to talk to him. And she's like, oh, so what do I got to do? I got to take his little hand in mine and say, look, it's okay, blah, 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 blah. He said, no, now you're just patronizing the person. And she's like, well, what are you talking about? And he says, just talk to him. Get them to open up about what they're going through. And then once they do, then you can start to guide them in the right direction. Now, he didn't have a specific example of how that actually plays out. But my wife did last night. She had a tremendous example where, like I said, one of her employees had a particular bias that she and he were talking through, and she got him to the point where he was comfortable enough to open up about it. I don't know if he thought that his, well, how do I want to say this? It seemed as though his mindset was that his opinion on the matter wasn't a bad opinion. And once he was able to verbalize it, well, then my wife was then able to coach him in the right way. I don't know if I'm making any fucking sense at all. But the bottom line being, though, that my wife didn't come at the guy by saying, "Oh, you're dumb, you're an asshole, why do you think like that?" She just got him to open up, and now she has the opportunity for change. So I was totally impressed with her ability to do that and her relaying of the story, and congratulated her. And I thought that we were connecting on a really, really nice level that we haven't hit maybe before. So we had finished dinner and we were talking through that, just sipping on wine. And then after we had this wonderful moment, I'm still trying to figure it out. I don't know why she did this. She did something like this before, and I didn't really press the issue later on. I think it was because she was defending my stepson. We were having some conversation at the dinner table, and I had said something to him. I don't think she liked it, so that when the kids kind of dispersed from the table, she came at me. And it was weird. And it was the only other time that I can remember her doing this, but she did it again last night. And this time the kids weren't even with us. It was just me and her sitting at the table. She said something I'm paraphrasing, because what's at least on my side, what's not important is like the word for word things that were spoken. What was important was what it felt like she was trying to do. She had said something to the effect of, "Well, his podcast is scripted, and he's got a consultant, and he's making you feel a certain way." And at first I was like, what the hell does that have to do with anything? I was like, this is weird. And then, like I just said, I don't remember the word for word pieces of the conversation. I just know how it made me feel as she continued to dig in on this. Like, she didn't let it go. She kept digging in on it. And I kept saying, why are you doing this? You're making me feel uncomfortable. You're making me feel attacked. It feels like you're chopping down all the praise that I just laid upon you, and belittling the emotional intelligence that I'm gathering from listening to two other people go through this exact same issue. It was the weirdest fucking thing, because she wouldn't let it go. Finally, at the end of it, she apologized, but I never got to the point as to why she was doing that. Like I said, the kids weren't around, so it wasn't like she was potentially psychologically defending them. She was still angry at me for something. The only other thing that I could think of is that, and this is a remote possibility, is that she was resenting the fact that I got to spend time with the kids, with my son playing, because she doesn't get to do that. She stays she works 12 hours a day, 7 to 7 most of the time, or 6 to 6. But I'm still at a loss right now as to why that conversation even happened. It's very odd. Anyway, it has me feeling uneasy, even still this morning, even after she had apologized, because I don't want something like that to happen again. She has a particular issue with her mom, where her mother will not, how do I want to phrase this? She has a tendency to minimize my wife's accomplishments. And my wife has accomplished a lot as a female in the military. And my mother-in-law has a way of chopping that down and making it seem less important than it is. And it's not. I'll tell you this. But that's exactly how I was feeling last night. I was like, why are you doing this? We just connected on a phenomenal level. One that I don't think we had before. And now you're telling me that I'm dumb or naive for thinking that Bill Burr's podcast is not scripted, or he doesn't have a podcast consultant that's telling him how to do his podcast. And I even said to her, I said, well, have you ever listened to any of his podcasts? And she said, no. And I was like, well, then, how do you know his is? It was weird. And I can tell you this, just as a listener of it, I'm 99% sure that his podcast is 100% unscripted, because you can tell just by listening to it that it's off the cuff. Everything's off the cuff. If he starts to have a conversation with his wife on the podcast, it's because she like walked into the room, and he even says immediately when she walks in the room, he says, "Hey, the lovely Nia, everybody." And then, she'll be off mic and she'll say hi, and he might even bring her over for a question or whatnot. Then he has to hook her up on the headphones and everything. It's like, this is not planned. She just happened to be walking by. I don't know, man. I do hope that my wife figures that out and is able to tell me what was going on, because there had to have been something else going on with her that she felt the need to, and she normally doesn't do that. She's usually really positive, especially with the kids. I don't know. And she and I have been getting along really, really well over the past, I'll say, three months, maybe. What is it, April? Yeah, since January. I think we had, a little bit of a tiff back in January, but yeah, now it felt like we were running on all cylinders. It felt like things were good. I don't know. Am I the only one who goes through stuff like this? Hope not. Because if I am the only one, then maybe it's just me. But I don't know. I kept my head in the conversation. I felt like I was analyzing it appropriately. I don't know, man. So if my wife finally decides to listen to any of these things that I put online, if she listens to this one, hey, help me out. Anyway. Oh, look, there's a helicopter. Helicopters are always so cool. It's reminding me right now of when we lived in Texas, of the dragonflies in our backyard when we would go swimming. Dragonflies are so fucking cool, because we could stand in the pool, we could lift our hands up like this, like a scarecrow, and dragonflies would come over and land on us, and I guess take a drink, because I think we had water, still on our arms. But they would sit there and hang out there for like a good 10-15 seconds. And if you didn't fuck with them, they'd stay longer. There you go. There's the helicopter. It's coming back. Looking like a dragonfly. So cool. Anyway. Alright. So obviously seeing a helicopter means we're getting closer to base. And as far as what's going on today, everybody, so I've got some good projects going on at work. Getting hungry, so I'm going to get my 4 eggs, avocado, and keto coffee once I return to my home. And of course, stepson and I are working out tonight. And yeah, coming up tomorrow, stepson's band concert. Friday, my wife goes out of town for a wedding. And I think I'm going to take the kids to a Brazilian steakhouse over the weekend. Now, San Antonio, when we lived in San Antonio, they had the best Brazilian steakhouse, which was Chamagaucha. Ooh, I just remembered something. Something that I've been talking about the last 3 days, and I normally don't talk about it very often, but let's just say that I have been anticipating a downturn in the markets for probably 6 years now. I thought 2015, 2016, when we had the oil crisis, where the Saudis were fucking it up for U.S. producers. Hang on a second. I'm going to get scanned.
Morning.
Morning.
All right, good to go.
Thanks. I thought that was going to start bringing down the global economy, but it didn't. But the two that should have, number one was when the Fed was raising rates in the fourth quarter of 2018, and we saw a 20% decline in in one fucking quarter. And then immediately at the beginning of 2019, they reversed policy and the markets took off back to the upside. Then COVID, I thought for sure that was going to prick the bubble. But the Fed reinflated it again. So I've been looking for a downturn for over 6 years and have been wrong, way wrong. But now with the Federal Reserve raising rates again, I mentioned this yesterday that the reversal that happened on Monday did not look like the violent reversal that you want to see. That's going to get you on another leg higher. The reversal that you saw was timid, it was weak. And sure enough, yesterday, all the major indices dropped by almost 3%. That's a huge fucking move in a day for the indices, which means they're getting closer and closer to flirting with those February lows. And Fed policy has not shifted. They're just beginning to tighten. I got a feeling, just like all the major money men, and this is not a new idea. This is just stuff that I've been listening to from major, important, influential money managers who post stuff online. That the Fed's tightening cycle, last time it went to 2.5, I think 2.25, 2.5 before they had to reverse. That was fourth quarter 2018. And a lot of people were saying they're not even going to get to 1% this time and they're going to have to reverse. Well, they're at 0.25%, I think 0.5% right now, which means they have 2 more hikes. Actually, they have like 7 hikes planned. They're trying to get back to 2%. But a lot of people are saying they're not even going to get to 1 and they're going to have to reverse. And that is what it is looking like right now. Because that moved down yesterday, man. And having the markets flirt with those February lows. I know I've been saying it for a while. I don't think I've been saying it on this podcast, but the conditions for a crash are optimal. Crashes don't happen at tops. Crashes happen on lows because all of a sudden your rubber band snaps and it breaks. That's what starts happening. It starts stretching when you're down at the bottom, when there's too much selling, and then all of a sudden, boom, something breaks. It doesn't do it at the top. So we'll see what happens here. I mean, we're nearing the end of the month. We'll see if there's like a Mayday scenario where, I got a feeling in the first week of May you might see a nice giant collapse here. And if it gets down into the mid 3,000s, if the S&P gets down to the mid 3,000s, that'll be a 25% decline since January. That's huge in 5 months to see 25% of your wealth wiped away. But I think if they do get to the mid 3,000s in the first week of May, it might be a nice buying opportunity, in which case I might put some of my 401k money to work. That'll close it down now because I'm very well into base. I wish I could talk a little bit more on that. Maybe I'll remember to do so tomorrow morning. But wish everybody a great Wednesday, and I'll smell you tomorrow.